In the realm of combat sports, Jake Paul has continuously garnered attention. Although he first became well known as a YouTuber, he has surprised many by entering the boxing world with a seriousness. His history is the main source of the criticism surrounding his boxing career. Many wonder if a former social media star could truly compete at the top level. But his tenacity and noteworthy successes have compelled the business to pay attention. A battle with Canelo Alvarez, the current undisputed super middleweight champion, is one of his most ambitious aspirations. Although the anticipated fight is scheduled for May 2025, there are many questions about its viability. Renowned commentator and mixed martial arts personality Joe Rogan voiced doubts about this bout. He made the point that Canelo doesn't have time for a bout with Jake Paul because of his hectic schedule. He added that even though Canelo's name attracts a lot of attention, many choose to compete against him for the money it brings in rather than necessarily because they are serious candidates. Rogan claims that although Canelo views Jake Paul more as an entertainer than a real threat in the ring, he is probably wanting to fight opponents who can earn large paychecks. However, Rogan acknowledged Jake Paul's boxing prowess, stating that it's evident Paul has put a lot of effort into honing his craft. He noted that Paul's reputation as a boxer is enhanced by the fact that he has defeated a number of well-known opponents, including past UFC champions. Rogan made it apparent that Jake Paul would have gained more respect as a boxer if he hadn't been the YouTuber that he was and had just started boxing without that background. But because of his social media history, a lot of people still don't give him credit for his achievements in the ring. Jake Paul has persisted in proving people incorrect in spite of all the criticism. He is not hesitant to criticize Canelo and other elite rivals. According to Rogan, boxers like Canelo and other seasoned champions eventually reach a point in their careers where they seek out high-paying fights in order to prepare for retirement. Although Rogan does not think the fight will happen because of Canelo's schedule and dedication to other, more important fights, Canelo does see a fight against Jake Paul as a potential significant payoff. He underlined that elite boxers like Canelo must maintain their concentration on their top opponents since there is always someone chasing them. Similar opinions regarding Canelo were expressed by Post Malone, who participated in Rogan's conversation. He pointed out that the Mexican superstar has often shown his skill and is a beast in the ring. Although Rogan and Post Malone concurred that the bout would be spectacular, they both acknowledged that Canelo's boxing prowess is unparalleled. Rogan said that although Jake Paul is serious about his boxing career, he isn't yet ready to take on someone of Canelo's level in a hypothetical conversation regarding Paul calling out Canelo. The argument over Jake Paul's actual boxing prowess went on. While acknowledging that Paul has made great strides, Rogan noted that Paul will continue to look fantastic in the ring as long as he fights YouTubers and MMA competitors. The real test of Jake's abilities, he continued, would be against actual, seasoned boxers. Paul undoubtedly possesses the confidence and drive to take on elite boxers, but defeating Canelo is a difficult task, and many boxing experts think Paul isn't yet prepared. Another boxing observer, Max Kellerman, offered his thoughts on the possible bout, saying that Jake Paul's desire to challenge Canelo is incompatible with Canelo's objectives. Canelo isn't interested in entertaining a spectacle like Jake Paul, who offers more entertainment value than real competition, according to Kellerman. Although both combatants would profit from the fight, many commentators felt that it lacked the validity of a real championship fight. Kellerman argued that Jake would need to make great development in his boxing career and defeat a number of successful opponents before he would even consider a fight with Canelo. But Paul doesn't waver in his conviction. He has said time and time again that he will finally catch up to Canelo and defeat him. Paul thinks that his commitment to the sport and his capacity for growth will enable him to pose a real threat to Canelo. He cites his prior victories over former UFC champions as evidence that he will only get better as a fighter. Paul has set himself the objective of surpassing Canelo in the coming years and defeating him when the time is appropriate. Paul admitted in an open discussion with Joe Rogan that although he isn't exactly at Canelo's level right now, he will be in a few years. He clarified that he is certain he can be prepared to take on Canelo with the correct squad and additional training. But he also acknowledged that he would probably lose if they faced up today. But he has a steadfast faith in himself. He is aware that he will require more expertise and skill to compete against someone like Canelo. However, he is prepared to invest the time and effort required to reach that goal. On the other hand, Canelo has long been regarded as one of the best boxers of his generation. He started playing professionally at the age of 15, but he has been involved with the sport since he was a little child. He has consistently prevailed against some of the world's top fighters. His record, which includes numerous world titles in various weight classes, speaks for itself. He is regarded by many in the boxing community as one of the greatest fighters of all time in terms of pound for pound. Another strong candidate, David Benavidez, offered his opinions on the possible Canelo-Paul bout. Benavidez contended that Canelo ought to confront Jake Paul before contemplating a fight with him. Many fans concur with Benavidez that he is a more credible contender to Canelo's legacy than Paul. Benavidez has been demanding a bout with Canelo for a while and is regarded as one of the top competitors in the super middleweight class. This fight, in his opinion, is more significant and difficult and has the potential to cement Canelo's legacy. But there's no denying that Jake Paul has changed the way boxing is promoted. People who may not have previously been interested in boxing now pay attention to it because of Paul's notoriety, which has introduced a new audience to the sport. The industry has been compelled to pay attention due to his ability to sell fights and draw sizable crowds. Paul has been able to create anticipation for his bouts, something that many other fighters find difficult to do, despite the fact that he has not yet faced elite boxers. Although Paul's choice to go after Canelo might seem too ambitious, it is impossible to overlook his tenacity and commitment to the sport. Regardless of how the general world views him, he isn't scared to pursue his clear vision for his boxing career. Jake Paul's career in boxing is far from done, regardless of whether he will ever have the opportunity to face Canelo. Notwithstanding the opinions of his detractors, Jake Paul has succeeded in carving out a position for himself in the boxing world. Whether he ever fights Canelo Alvarez, his impact on the sport will last for years to come. His tale is one of perseverance and self-belief. Regarding the actual battle, nobody knows if it will actually happen. The one thing that is clear is that Jake Paul will keep pursuing his goal of being a top boxer and facing the biggest names in the industry.